Today we are going over Halloween makeup tutorials. Why would I use pantyhose? Let's find out.
Hoog E Arts.
So for this first trick, all you need is some toilet paper. And if you don't have toilet paper, then, well, I'm sorry. Literally all you need is toilet paper, some glue. If you've ever done paper mache, this is basically what you're doing. Pour some glue in there. And I just use the clear Elmer's. You're just trying to get texture. If you have ever done paper mache, this is essentially what you're doing, but on your skin. That's why I recommend school glue, because obviously it can mess with your skin. So let's just say someone grabbed my hand and they bit into it and there's a lot of flesh coming out. But let's go ahead and let this dry. And this is a good alternative for latex if you don't have a bunch of latex or you don't have any at all. So if you want some wounds, we all know that corn syrup and food coloring is a good fake blood. It does tend to stain your skin. What I actually recommend is, a good alternative for fake blood is acrylic paint watered down if you don't want to risk staining your skin, and it gives just a really good dried blood texture. And if you want like scab blood, you can always add Elmer's glue to your blood mixture. I'm just gonna add red, yum, some brown, and just a touch of black. That's just going to be like the base to my wound. And I always use a brown just because if you've ever seen a wound, there's a lot of brown, especially when it starts scabbing. So we have a base color to our wound. So I just added a dark red to the side of my brown and mixed a little bit of brown in it with a little bit of glue. So it'll be the sticky scab blood that you see costume makeups and things. You see scab blood, it essentially looks like that. It's very dark. Once you're done with your brush work, I always recommend to use your fingers just because it's more realistic to what's happening. If someone had a wound or something, they're gonna touch it. So we have the darks to our wound. Let's try to get some light color. I'm gonna use my yellowish tan color and I might add some yellow to it. Like this ochre yellow would be a good like infection kind of color. Thing with working in a haunted house for so many years, you will learn that it's not about intricate details that they're going to look at and just stare at you, but it's the small things that they see at first and they're terrified by. So it's small tricks like these that will really get someone scared if that's what you're going for, or they jump back or something, so they're not going to see the faulty details that you have. So it's really all about tricking them into thinking there's something there that really isn't. But there we go. We have a bloody, bitten, rotting hand. And some other colors that you could use to give it more of a rot look is green. Or you can add some purple for bruising around there. Or like yellow around the outer area where it's bruised. It's been there a while. Just depending what kind of look you're wanting to get. So why would I use pantyhose? For one, I airbrushed for a Halloween haunted house in college for about 7 years. Even after I graduated, I helped with it. So this filters out paint. Something that you can do with it that helps you with dressing up scary. Do is I am going to put this over my head, and what its purpose is, it's closing off my ears, it's distorting my face, and there are several things that I've done using this technique. Okay, so this looks stupid right now. I can't even see. So what you want to do first is you want to make either a mouth hole or you want to make eye holes. Or you could actually go off this as your base, but it's going to be hard to see with your eyes pushing against your face. And some of the things that I did with this technique is I made a burn victim. So this pushed in my nose, made my ears disappear because, you know, if you're ever in a fire, and I hope you haven't been, it burns away, you know, your flesh, like your ears and your nose. This is the part, if I can, I can't see. Okay, so be extremely careful if you do this, but you need to make a hole wherever that you want it to split open, like it's split skin. So for example, my mouth. So I can breathe. And the eyes are where you want to be extremely careful. And what I recommend is actually using something that you can poke through without jabbing your eye. So close your eye, obviously. Something to make a hole, because pantyhose are not that strong. Ugh. And just one eye feels a lot better. So let's say that this is what I wanted. I just wanted one split eye. The other eye's burned away. So you could literally paint over this. Paint this black. Over here, just put liquid latex to really bloody this up around your mouth. I do recommend shaving if you are going to use this technique. I look ridiculous. So when I have used this, I use this for also a scarecrow that someone helped me do, where I airbrushed over this and did some haze coming out. But there's several things that you can do with this technique. I know it looks stupid right now, but once you get everything to where it should be, it really just spruces it up. Something else you could do is actually fill the rest of this to distort your head. I mean, this is kind of scary enough. Just go up to someone dressed like this. And if you do have more reasonable supplies like an airbrush, there are some hints and tricks I can give you just by showing you some pictures, because I do not have an air compressor anymore, so I do not have anything to function with my airbrushes, but I do have a lot of them. It's kind of ridiculous. For most of these, you can paint your face dark, just one solid color, generally black or like a dark brown or a dark green, dark colors, and then go over with like neon colors or a white. For this first one, you literally are just cringing your face as hard as you can and then dusting it with a white. Because they don't let you breathe most of the time when they're painting your face. I like to do my own. And with this technique, it just shows all the lines on your face and it gives you a really scary look like this. And this next one is to simply put something over your face that has a mesh or something. After the first layer dries, and then misting it with like a green or something to make the pattern show on the face like this. So you can get scales, you can get different patterns to look like a monster or a fish or whatever pattern you decide. You could put polka dots on your face that same way to do like a comic book style look. And for the sake of this video, I am going to go ahead and try those techniques with the airbrush, with just painting my face and trying the same thing. If you do have sensitive skin, I do recommend the little craft brushes just because they're sponge and it's a little softer when it goes onto your face. It also gives more of an even texture of paint. Best thing about these brushes is they're so cheap. So you could just paint your face black and be a ninja. It's kind of scary because it deletes all the details on your face. So this is something we actually did, but with airbrush because it's quicker. So the people hiding in the shadows in a haunted house would just pop out and all you see is eyes and teeth. So that's pretty scary too. So let's dry this off and we'll see if we can do the same techniques we did with the airbrush, but using a regular brush. So let's try this out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna tense up your face really hard and then put the lighter paint over it. I'm using white. for very dramatic effect. Hopefully it works. It's actually working. So yeah, that actually works with just painting it on your face. And as you can see, it looks terrifying. And all you're doing is you're showing off those gur lines on your face. Like, I wouldn't mess with me right now. I feel like this is what I'm gonna look like when I'm like 80. Just all my lines showing. Let's try this one off now. And we'll try the texture with the cloth. Like, my voice doesn't even match my face right now. So I'm gonna try some green, and I'm just gonna do it over this white to show you and see if this works. Ready? This is just gonna dramatize my features, sink in my cheekbones a little, and hopefully I have a texture there to kind of add to it. So let's let this dry for a second before I remove this. Okay, so it dried a little bit. Let's try to take this off carefully. It should have left a texture. And it did. So literally all the techniques that I've used on airbrush does work with a sponge brush and acrylic. It just takes a little more time. If you did not get a chance to see last week's video where I dressed up as Freddy Krueger and drew or attempted to draw with his claws, be sure to check that out. I did go over how I made my gory face. And the end of that, best thing about acrylics is it's very forgiving. It does wash off your face. I do recommend apple barrel paints just because they're cheap, generally at Walmart or any craft store, and they're water soluble. But after a quick shower, all of this will come off. Warm water, some soap, you'll be fine. But that's it for today. If you would like to see future videos, be sure to subscribe and tune in this weekend to see where I went with Inktober. Till next time, guys. See ya.